So my gender praxis project was on homophily. And I first noticed homophily in, I think, middle school when I walked into the cafeteria, and I noticed that all the races seemed to be segregated. The black people would eat together, the white people seemed to be eating together, and then like the Hispanic people would be eating together, and they all were kind of separate, and there wasn't a ton of mixing between the races. And so ever since then, I really tried to focus on having a diverse group of friends. And so the official definition of homophily from the Oxford Reference is a common tendency for people to be drawn to those they perceive to be most like themselves. And this happens a lot. You might look at your friend group and realize they all look like you. And that's what I did before I started this project. I looked at my friend group and realized they all seemed like me. So I really wanted to make more diverse friends. And at BYU, I had focused so hard on just making friends that I hadn't spent a lot of time trying to make sure I got different perspectives into my friend group. So my goals for this project were to talk to people who seem different from me in regards to the big eight social identities, and then also to talk to people I just normally wouldn't talk to, maybe because I consider them weird or very different from me. And so I would talk to people in just my everyday life. As I went through my everyday life, I'd talk to people in my dorm, when I was walking to class, at the creamery, the cafeteria, other restaurants, grocery stores, on campus. And then I have two classes in Salt Lake Center, so I'd take the bus and the front runner twice a week, every week. And so I'd talk to a lot of people on public transport. And then I'd go up to people, and how I normally start a conversation is compliments because that's the only way I know how to just go up to a stranger and start talking to them. And then if I had met the person before, I didn't really talk to anyone I knew, but maybe I knew their name or had met them before, so I'd go up and say, "How are you?" But mostly just compliments. And this is how I recorded my interactions, just on a Google Docs. And then I kind of categorized it by where the interaction took place: public transport, school, campus. Yes. And then the reaction. So most of my reactions with these interactions were positive. People would say thanks to a compliment, or sometimes I'd give them a compliment, and then that would start a conversation, and we'd have a long conversation. There was a few people who seemed annoyed I was talking to them. Only like three out of the 30. Um, I I gave a girl a compliment on the bus, and she gave me like the dirtiest look. But most of them seemed happy to have a conversation, and we had a great time. And so these are a few things I noticed throughout this process. I noticed that I usually got compliments and comments from people who fit the same big eight social identities as me. Um, and also, when I was with a friend who was mixed race, we were more likely to be approached by another person of color, and like someone else, another person of color would come up to us and talk to us, and this almost never happened when I was by myself. And then one girl who I talked to, I saw her another time and she came up and said hi. So it was awesome to develop relationships like that. So one girl I talked to was in my dorm, and we had met before. I knew her name, but we had never had a conversation, never really talked. She just didn't seem like me. She seemed a lot different from me, so I just never talked to her. Um, and one day I saw her in the dorm, and I went up and I said, "Hi, and how are you doing? How are your classes?" And she told me all about her classes, and we had a really good conversation. I learned that she was writing a book, and she told me all about her book. And she was such an interesting person, and never would have learned this from her if I had not just gone up and said hi. And I saw her another day, like a few days later, and she said hi, and we caught up again. And then I saw her like 2 days ago, and we said hi again, which is so cool that I got to make a friend from this project. And then one guy I met at the Roland Center, I started talking to him, and I learned he was from Korea, and he gave me a podcast to listen to and told me to send it to my sister, who I had told him loved Korean culture. And I learned that talking to people is how you make friends, and this is how you make diverse friends. And these people have amazing insights that I don't have because they're different from me and they were raised different from different cultures. And so sometimes I don't talk to people because it seems like we have nothing in common, but these are usually the people that we learn the most from. So, what comes next? My goal is to keep talking to people, um, keep making friends with people who are different from me because I need their perspectives in my life. Thank you.